What classifies as a residual haunting? We'll find out right now on What the Fetch. Hey weirdos, I'm Grant. This is the second in a series of videos where I define the 4 categories I use to classify hauntings. For the first one, you can click here. A residual haunting is essentially any haunting that repeats itself over and over and over and over again. The event itself doesn't have to be tragic or even sad. Sometimes the sheer repetition of an event can cause an impression. The concept was proposed as the stone tape theory in 1961 by archaeologist/parapsychologist T.C. Lethbridge, and even earlier by philosopher H.H. Price as place memories in 1940. The prevailing theory is that the energy of a particular event has become trapped in the surrounding material, and that energy is released when the conditions are right. Much like a cassette tape. Remember those kids with the pencil in it and you rewind it? No? Okay, so maybe more like a Blu-ray. Better? The information on a Blu-ray is there on the disc, but you can't access it unless it's in an appropriate device, that device is powered on, and someone has hit play. In other words, the conditions are right. The same goes with a residual haunting. The problem is, no one quite knows what the right conditions are. But we can say more often than not, residual hauntings happen in places with high limestone, iron, or quartz deposits. A residual haunting is easy to identify because the activity, be it frequent or not, will be repetitive. It'll just do the same thing every time, no matter who's there or what's in the way. In fact, the whole concept of a ghost walking through walls stems from the fact that a ghost is walking through a doorway that has since been covered up. The entity will continue to follow that path even though there is no longer a door there. Even the concept of a ghost floating is due to residual hauntings. It's a ghost walking up a flight of stairs that is no longer there. A residual haunting does not interact with its environment at all. Nothing will ever move. You may hear a door open and close or an object move, but it doesn't actually move. For example, there was a case where a family's small children were terrified because these entities kept walking around their house. The problem was they weren't seeing the whole person. The children were seeing the entities from the waist up sticking out of the floor. That can be pretty terrifying. But come to find out, the answer was simple. The house was built on the foundation of an old farmhouse. The old foundation was significantly lower than their current floor, so the entities were simply walking on the old floor, and only half of them was showing up through the new floor. Now, because this is, in theory, trapped energy, there's no intelligence behind it. This can make for some pretty odd scenarios. For example, there was a case where a woman was being haunted by a residual haunting of herself as a child. Yes, someone who is alive can be haunted by themselves residually. Oftentimes, if you catch an EVP of someone in great distress that seems to ignore everything you're asking or saying, that's evidence of a residual haunting. There are even countless accounts of parties, events, even full-scale battles happening, and it's all residual haunting. No one's really there. On the battlefields of Gettysburg, we've caught full-scale residual EVPs. Guns being fired, cannons being fired, horses running around, bugles, orders being yelled. It's fascinating. But again, it's not like those people are living that battle over and over and over and over again. There's no intelligence there. It's just repeating energy. So now that we know what it is, how do we deal with this? Well, because residual haunting is essentially a movie being played out, there's no intelligence behind it. You can't interact with it. You can't reason with it. Blessings won't work. Religious provocation won't work. Well, what the heck do we do? Well, first off, the good news is, it's just a movie. It won't hurt you, it won't talk with you, it won't try to date you, it won't steal your tater tots. That's good, right? Basically, there's no threat to you. The bad part is because you can't reason with it, you can't convince it to move along. What you need to do is you need to locate the material the energy is trapped in and remove it from the premises. But how do you know what material is holding that energy? Well, usually you'll get a clue as to what the material is based on the haunting itself. For example, if the haunting is of dead Uncle Fred incessantly riding his unicycle back and forth, chances are the energy is trapped in that unicycle you inherited from dear old Uncle Fred. That's all you inherited. Whatever the material may be, remove it from the premises for at least a month. If the activity stops, hooray! If the activity continues, you chose poorly. Oops, thanks for playing. Try again. But be careful here. Sometimes the material is part of the house itself. We had a client that was sort of obsessed with trying to remove a residual haunting, and he nearly dismantled his entire house. That's ridiculous since there's no threat to you. If for some reason you simply cannot find the material that energy is trapped in, you'll have to learn to live with it. You know, just grab some popcorn and enjoy the show. So have you experienced a residual haunting in your life? How did you deal with it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know. And don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Stay weird.